Adolf Hitler's early life was marked by turmoil and a strained family life. Born in Austria in 1889, he was the fourth of 6 children, though only 2 of his siblings survived to adulthood. This early exposure to death and loss undoubtedly left a mark on young Adolf. His birthplace, Braunau am Inn, was a small town on the border between Austria and Germany, a location that would later hold symbolic significance for him. The family moved several times during his childhood, adding to the instability of his early years. His relationship with his father, Alois Hitler, a strict customs official, was fraught with tension. Alois was a domineering figure who demanded obedience and had little patience for his son's artistic ambitions. Young Adolf, harboring dreams of becoming an artist, clashed with his father's desire for him to pursue a more practical career in the civil service. This early conflict foreshadowed Hitler's rebellious nature and unwavering belief in his own destiny. Despite his father's disapproval, Hitler was determined to follow his passion for art. He spent hours drawing and painting, often neglecting his schoolwork. His mother, Clara, was more supportive of his artistic dreams, providing a rare source of comfort in his tumultuous life. Despite showing artistic talent, he was rejected by the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts, not once but twice. These rejections were a significant blow to his self-esteem and fueled his resentment towards those he perceived as responsible for his failures. Vienna, at the turn of the century, was a vibrant cultural hub, but it was also a city rife with political and social tensions. The city's diverse population included many Jews, and anti-Semitic sentiments were widespread. Hitler's formative years were also influenced by the pervasive anti-Semitism of the time. He was exposed to the hateful rhetoric that demonized Jews as scapegoats for societal ills, a narrative that resonated with his growing sense of victimhood and failure. Growing up in a society rife with prejudice, he absorbed the hateful rhetoric that demonized Jews as scapegoats for societal ills. This early exposure to anti-Semitism would later become a cornerstone of his twisted ideology. The anti-Semitic publications and speeches he encountered in Vienna left a lasting impression on him. He began to see Jews not just as individuals but as a monolithic enemy responsible for all of society's problems. The seeds of hatred, sown in his youth, would eventually blossom into the horrors of the Holocaust. His early experiences and the toxic environment in which he grew up played a crucial role in shaping his worldview. Hitler's early life was a crucible, forging his character and shaping his worldview. The combination of a difficult family life, artistic aspirations, and exposure to anti-Semitism created a potent mix that would have devastating consequences for the world. The combination of a difficult family life, artistic aspirations, and exposure to anti-Semitism created a potent mix that would have devastating consequences for the world. His early experiences, marked by both personal struggles and the social climate of the time, laid the foundation for the monster he would become. His early experiences, marked by both personal struggles and the social climate of the time, laid the foundation for the monster he would become. The seeds of ambition and hatred sown in his youth would grow into a dark legacy that the world would never forget. Vienna, the grand capital of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, became the backdrop for Hitler's descent into extremism. This city, with its majestic architecture and rich cultural heritage, was a place where dreams were both made and shattered. Arriving in the city as a young man, he was initially captivated by its imperial grandeur and vibrant cultural scene. The theaters, the operas, the bustling cafes, all of these seemed to promise a life of artistic fulfillment and intellectual stimulation. However, his artistic dreams were quickly dashed, and he found himself adrift, struggling to survive as a struggling artist and laborer. Rejection from the Academy of Fine Arts Vienna was a significant blow, leaving him with a sense of failure and deepening his sense of alienation. The city, once a symbol of hope, transformed into a breeding ground for his resentment and radical beliefs. The stark contrast between the opulence of the elite and the squalor of the poor became a daily reminder of his own inadequacies and frustrations. It was during his time in Vienna that Hitler's anti-Semitism intensified, fueled by the city's pervasive prejudice and the writings of racist ideologues. The anti-Semitic rhetoric that permeated the city provided a convenient scapegoat for his personal failures and societal grievances. He frequented coffee houses and beer halls where anti-Semitic pamphlets were readily available, immersing himself in a world of hate-mongering and conspiracy theories. These venues were hotbeds of political discourse, where radical ideas were exchanged and prejudices were reinforced. He came to view Jews as a parasitic race, responsible for Germany's economic woes and cultural decline. This belief was not formed in isolation, but was a reflection of the broader societal attitudes that were prevalent in Vienna at the time. This poisonous ideology, embraced with fanatical zeal, would become the driving force behind his future actions. His hatred was not just a personal vendetta, but a worldview that he would later impose on an entire nation. Vienna's underbelly exposed Hitler to the dark side of human nature. The stark realities of poverty and social inequality were inescapable, and they left a lasting impression on him. He witnessed firsthand the poverty, homelessness, and social unrest that plagued the city's marginalized communities. These experiences only served to deepen his sense of injustice and his desire to find someone to blame. These experiences further fueled his anger and resentment, leading him to seek scapegoats for the societal ills he perceived. The Jews in his mind became the embodiment of all that was wrong with society. Vienna was not just the setting for Hitler's struggles, it was the crucible in which his hatred was forged, transforming him into a man consumed by prejudice and a thirst for power. The city's influence on him was profound, shaping his ideology and setting the stage for the horrors that would later unfold. The lessons he learned in Vienna, twisted and perverse, would become the foundation of his future tyranny. The outbreak of World War I in 1914 proved to be a pivotal moment in Hitler's life, marking a turning point from aimless drifter to fervent nationalist. Before the war, Hitler had been living a rather unremarkable life, struggling as an artist in Vienna and later moving to Munich. His days were filled with uncertainty and a lack of direction, but the war offered him a chance to redefine himself. Eager to prove himself, he volunteered for the German army, seeing the war as an opportunity to find purpose and belonging. For Hitler, the war was not just a conflict, it was a chance to be part of something greater than himself, to be part of a cause that he believed in deeply. He saw the military as a place where he could find the discipline and structure that had been missing from his life. He served with distinction, earning the Iron Cross for bravery, an experience that deepened his sense of German nationalism and his belief in military strength. The Iron Cross was a prestigious award, and receiving it was a source of immense pride for Hitler. It validated his belief in his own abilities and in the righteousness of the German cause. The horrors of trench warfare, however, left an indelible mark on Hitler's psyche. The constant bombardment, the fear of gas attacks, and the sight of countless comrades falling in battle were experiences that would haunt him for the rest of his life. The trenches were a brutal and unforgiving environment, and surviving them required both physical and mental fortitude. He witnessed firsthand the brutality and carnage of modern warfare, experiencing the camaraderie and trauma that would shape his worldview. The bonds formed with fellow soldiers in the trenches were strong, forged in the crucible of shared hardship and danger. Yet the trauma of war also left deep scars, influencing his later views on violence and conflict. The war reinforced his belief in the power of violence and the need for a strong leader to guide Germany to greatness. He became convinced that only through strength and determination could Germany reclaim its place in the world. This belief in the necessity of a powerful, authoritarian leader would become a central tenet of his political ideology. It was during these years that the seeds of his ambition to lead Germany were sown. The war had given him a sense of purpose and a vision for the future, one in which he saw himself as the savior of the German people. His experiences in the military had shown him the importance of leadership and the impact that a single individual could have on the course of history. The war's end in Germany's defeat was a crushing blow to Hitler. The sense of betrayal and humiliation he felt was profound. He could not accept that Germany had been defeated on the battlefield. Instead, he believed that the country had been stabbed in the back by traitors at home. He felt betrayed by the civilian government, whom he blamed for the country's humiliation. The politicians who had signed the armistice and the Treaty of Versailles were, in his eyes, the true enemies of Germany. This sense of betrayal would become a driving force in his political career. The Treaty of Versailles, with its harsh reparations and territorial losses, further fueled his resentment and his determination to restore Germany to its former glory. The treaty's terms were seen as a national disgrace, and for Hitler, they were a call to action. He vowed to overturn the treaty and to rebuild Germany into a powerful and respected nation. The war had forged in Hitler a dangerous combination of nationalism, militarism, and a thirst for revenge, setting the stage for his rise to power. His experiences in World War I had shaped his beliefs and ambitions, creating a leader who was determined to reshape the world according to his vision. This combination of factors would ultimately lead to one of the darkest chapters in human history. Post-war Germany was a fertile ground for extremism. The country was mired in economic depression and political instability, creating an atmosphere of disillusionment and resentment. It was in this climate of despair that Adolf Hitler, a charismatic speaker with a message of hate and national revival, found a receptive audience. He joined the small and insignificant German Workers' Party, which he would quickly transform into a vehicle for his own ambition. Hitler's fiery rhetoric, laced with nationalism, anti-Semitism, and promises of a return to greatness, resonated with a population desperate for a solution to their woes. He skillfully exploited the economic anxieties and wounded national pride of the German people, offering himself as their savior. With each impassioned speech, his popularity grew, drawing in a motley crew of disenfranchised veterans, unemployed workers, and anti-Semitic fanatics. The Nazi Party, fueled by Hitler's charisma and the public's discontent, experienced a meteoric rise. Their message of hate and national restoration spread like wildfire, attracting a growing number of followers. It was a time of great uncertainty and fear, and Hitler offered a seductive if dangerous vision of the future. His rise to prominence was as much a reflection of the turbulent times as it was of his own manipulative genius.